told that it was designed to provide health care for literally everyone. But if that was the case, there wouldn't be a plethora of politically connected organizations that have applied for and received exemptions to Obamacare. No, Obamacare is a Trojan horse for population control. It took 10,000 generations for the world to reach 2 billion people, and now in one generation the population is approximately 7 billion, and scientists know that current population levels are unsustainable. Population control is the #1 problem facing the world, and Obamacare is one of the tools that they intend to use to control population. We also need to understand that the AMA, American Medical Association, and FDA, Food and Drug Administration, are not intended to protect the best interest of the people of the United States of America. I spent 22 years in healthcare, and I can tell you that the AMA is one of the strongest unions in the world, and they are not interested in wellness. They are interested in treating disease. They have absolutely no interest in finding a cure for diabetes, or for cancer, or for heart disease, or for any of the preventable diseases. They are in business to make money, and they make money by treating illnesses. And the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, is not in business to represent the American people. They are in business to represent the interest of Big Pharma, Big Chema, Big Biotechno, Big Agribiz, and Big Medico. We also need to limit our participation in the World Health Organization, and in particular, the Codex. I know most of you probably don't know what the Codex is, so I'll try to explain, at least generically, what it is. It is a trade commission designed to, among other things, make us dependent on the drug companies by criminalizing therapeutic doses of supplements. For example, between the Codex and the AMA and the FDA, they have passed the following. It is illegal to treat a disease with anything but a drug. According to the World Trade Organization and Food and Agriculture Organization, implementation of the 2009 vitamin mineral guidelines will result in a minimum of 1 billion deaths, that's with a B, by starvation, and 2 billion deaths from preventable diseases associated with malnutrition. So I say again, the intention of the health care bills that exist today are not to provide wellness to the American people, but to control the population. The fifth plank of the American Reformation platform deals with illegal immigration. We could stop illegal immigration anytime we want, but the federal government doesn't want to because they're using it as a political tool. They want to create divisiveness between various factions within the United States. They want to lower our wages and our standard of living. They want to further add to the national debt by providing social services to millions of illegal immigrants. And lastly, they want to use the issue of illegal immigration to one day drive us into the Mirror Union, which is the conglomeration of the United States, Mexico, and Canada, all merged into a political and trading entity. None of this has to happen because, fortunately, the issue of illegal immigration is one of the simplest issues in the world to solve. All we have to do is take away the open invitation. And by that, what I mean is we rescind social services. What that means is that if you're an illegal alien and you come to this country from Mexico, you cannot get a job. If you do, the employer who hires you will be put in jail. So he's not going to give you a job. You can't drive a car, no driver's license. You can't buy a house. You can't send your children to school. You can't receive medical care. So in other words, you have absolutely no incentive to come to this country because you are completely, utterly, and absolutely prohibited from participation in the economic system. Secondly, we penalize you. If you come, and you come here a second time, all illegal aliens caught entering the country a second time would do mandatory jail time. I can assure you, if we implemented just these two simple policies, the issue of illegal immigration would go away in a heartbeat. The sixth plank of the American Reformation platform has to do with energy reform. By this point, it should be no surprise to any of you that our government rations energy as a means of control. Before I discuss the energy reform measures, however, I need to give you some background. With revenues of $4 to $5 trillion per year, the energy business is the largest industry in the world, and they are not about to give up those revenues without a fight. The government, in concert with the energy companies, are denying the world access to cheap, clean, renewable energy sources. On my website, libertycrusade.com, I have a number of interviews on nightly news programs depicting a variety of cheap, clean, renewable energy solutions. For example, there is a solution coming out of Philadelphia where they have an operational plant that converts garbage, anything made of carbon, into oil, coal, and gas, and they claim to be able to end U.S. dependency on foreign oil. Out of France, there is a company that is currently producing a car that runs on compressed air. It has been licensed in a number of countries, but you guessed it, not the United States. Coming from Israel, there is an amazing breakthrough in solar energy. They promise to produce solar energy that is 15 times more efficient than anything we've seen in the past, and will allow solar energy to be produced at a cost that is competitive with coal and nuclear. There are several inventors who hold patents to produce hydrogen on demand, yet American automakers tell us that hydrogen must be produced at a plant and sold at a gas station. Don't believe it. Lastly, there are promises of using permanent magnets to power cars and to produce generators to power homes. In such an event, we could basically all be off the electrical grid, but they're not about to let that happen. So, for example, President Obama promises that under his policies of cap and trade, that energy costs would of necessity skyrocket. So we shouldn't be surprised to find out that one of his favorite companies, General Electric, paid no corporate taxes last year. Nor should we be surprised to find out that they produce a light bulb that is called a green bulb, yet it has so much mercury in it that if it breaks, it's considered to be a biohazard. And additionally, while the American government is pursuing, to my knowledge, none of the solutions that I just outlined, they are, however, pursuing the production of ethanol. They have taken millions of acres of agricultural land out of food production, converting it to ethanol, further creating food shortages and raising food prices. So everything seems to always come back to population. The planet is in the midst of its sixth mass extinction, and the time has come when cheap, clean, renewable energy solutions must be taken out of the hands of the planet's elite and made available to the general public. Every 3.6 seconds, a person dies of hunger, and 75% of them are children. Cheap, clean, renewable solutions are available. I encourage you to go to my website and find out more. Now, getting to the solutions that are available. There is a precedence. You'll have to go to my book and read about it in order to really understand, but there is a precedent to say that any patent that is not brought to market after a specified period of time can be considered null and void and in the public domain. I assure you there are a number of energy and medical patents that have been bought up by major corporations with no intention to ever bring them to market. We need to oppose cap and trade because, as President Obama said, it will drive up our energy cost and make us increasingly more dependent on the government and the energy companies for our very survival. We need to form an international investment fund to invest in energy solutions. And lastly, we need to reinstate repealed energy legislation that led to such debacles as the Enron debacle in California. The seventh plank of the American Reformation program has to do with welfare reform. By this point, it should be no surprise to anybody that the welfare state, with its associated unfunded entitlement programs, has significantly contributed to the economic decline of the United States. Additionally, the welfare state has created a voter bloc of voters who are completely dependent on the government for handouts, and therefore the government can control their votes. It's as Jefferson said, the democracy will collapse when we take away from those who are willing to work and give to those who will not work. Unfortunately, the current welfare program is designed to do exactly that. It is designed to keep people in perpetual poverty, and it is designed to make them dependent on the government so the government can control their votes. What we need to do is reverse the process, and we need to create benefits that are designed to create incentives to work. Along this vein, we need an education program so that people can be given the appropriate education. When they graduate, employers are given tax incentives to encourage hiring those individuals, thus getting them off of the welfare rolls. We also need to provide absolutely no benefits of any kind to illegal aliens. And we need to cut back. Population is a serious problem. We need to stop encouraging people to have 4 and 5 and 6 kids just so they can receive welfare benefits. So we need to reform the welfare benefits with regard to aid-dependent children so that the first child is given full benefits, the second child is given 50% benefits, and any subsequent child is given no benefits. The 8th and final plank of the American Reformation program has to do with education reform. If you control the mind of a child, you literally control the future of that nation. And that's why we need to repeal the government takeover of the student loan program. And we need to defund federal education programs and put control in the hands of local school boards and parent-teacher organizations. We, the parents of our children, need to control their education and take it away from some government that has a vested political agenda. In regards to the American Reformation platform, I'd like to say this. I am sure that many of you are saying, we can't do those things, but I assure you we can. If we become informed and really understand the degree to which the government is controlling us, and we stand united as one people, there is no end to what we can accomplish. The first thing we have to do, however, is to change the political agenda of the government by taking control of election reform. If we can get the career politicians out in gerrymandering, set term limits, etc., we can then systematically address all the rest of the planks of the American Reformation program. It may take 10 years, it may take 20 years, but we can see an America that is drastically different and drastically freer than the America that we have today. This collage will give us a basic understanding of what we need to do to restore America to greatness. First and foremost, we need to surrender to God. We need to understand that though the United States of America was established as a republic based upon the principles of law, that according to our founding fathers, it was even more importantly based upon the 10 Commandments. Over time, our government has tried to take God out of the equation in order to lower our moral standards and control and manipulate us. I need to call upon the churches and ask that you insist that God be brought back into the political equation. With that in mind, we each of us need to stand up and question with boldness